In a world where chaos ruled the kiting field, where students on their first day of training try to tackle high winds, where gliders exceeded the performances of humans, there's one glider that stands ahead of the rest. Try as they may, instructors and students alike can't keep this glider down. The Ozone Roadrunner kiting glider takes to the skies like a rocket, and even with some of the most beginner pilots trying to hold her down, she keeps on flying.
Oh. I just didn't want to hit that pole.
This week, it's all about kiting in high wind, and our instructors are ready to tell you some secrets to help you succeed.
Wait. What's wrong with this brake? Oh.
Nothing's wrong.
Oh.
Look at your hands.
Yeah.
Look, crossed up you are.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Put your hands by your waist.
Oh.
Keep holding the brake.
Oh.
There you go.
No. Stay.
There you go.
Okay. Now.
Crossing your hands again.
Ah.
Crossing your hands.
I don't know.
Look at this.
Put your hands out like this.
Out like what?
Like this.
Put your left hand over here, dude.
Oh, there we go.
Now pull right.
Oh, okay.
Back up the flag.
Check the surge.
Good.
Now turn and go forwards again.
Step
Oh.
up a little bit.
Not too much brake. Up. Front step. Turn. Hand around. That's it. Ready? Come on. Hands up. Full breath. Hold it. Control.
We're learning.
There you go.
High wind gives us this kind of sandbox environment where we can get away with a lot of things, but it also teaches a lot of things to us where we're not focused entirely on just this all-out brute force run that we have to do in a no-wind situation. So we can also kite smaller gliders in the high wind, which create less lift, which ultimately creates a safer environment, but it also allows us to fly something that's a little bit more responsive and gives us faster reflexes. So this here is the Ozone Roadrunner. It's one of many kind of kiting specific gliders that are designed not for flying, but specifically for ground handling and training. They're a really nice investment because it does two things. Number one, it opens up an opportunity for you to train and kite in winds that otherwise would be unsafe to kite your full-size glider. But number two, it also reduces the wear and tear on your personal flying glider. And they're significantly cheaper. So high wind, obviously, we always want to be set up into the wind, and we want to be especially careful of downwind rotor obstacles. So you can see that behind me is some rotor obstacles, such as the building and these planes, but they're far enough away that they may not create too big of a concern for us. Another thing is that I'm probably going to want to be sticking to reverse kiting for the most part. When we're reverse kiting, we can use the weight of our body against the glider to prevent it from pulling us and dragging us around. Another thing you'd want to be doing is wearing a helmet at all times. Anytime you're kiting, but especially when we're kiting in high winds, because we don't know exactly what could happen. It could pick up at any moment and drag us across the field, and we don't want to hit our head on anything. So I'm in reverse kiting mode. Boom. Glider's up. Now the entire sport of powered paragliding is an exercise in minimum input for maximum result. And that's what I'm focusing to do. I'm trying to use as little brakes as possible to keep the glider where I want it. A paramotor mentor of mine a little while ago told me that an experienced kiter in any conditions should be able to put the wing and fly the wing in a way that it doesn't look like it's moving as they're kiting it, imparting minimal effort to keep it in such a position. So to that effect, one thing I like to do to practice my active piloting skills is get the wing a little bit closer to the horizon and just try to keep it in one point. So I'm trying to keep the wing within a small box to fly. So this is reverse kiting. You can see that I have my hands crossed so that my left hand is controlling the right side of the glider and my right hand is controlling the left side of the glider. So as the glider dips down to one side, let's say it's going to the left right now, I walk to the left and apply a little bit of left pressure to get it back to center. Likewise, on the right side, I apply right pressure and walk to the right to bring it back to center. If you're aggressive and abrupt, the wing's going to be aggressive and abrupt and hard to predict. But if you're slow, smooth, and controlled, the wing is going to be slow, smooth, and controlled to you. Kiting in high wind, especially wind that's on the edge of lifting you up, you can see I'm very close to flying right now. We want to be aware of our surroundings. Behind me, there's not much that I could go into for a little ways. There's just the runway, which right now would be okay for me to go on, but I'll stay off of that. Now I can also practice my reverse and forward transition. Again, in this environment where I can do everything in a very slow, controlled manner where the wing is just staying up without me trying to run. Kiting's super valuable for a pilot of any skill set. It's teaching you glider control, active piloting, and proper launching technique while we're not strapped to the motor and trying to commit to a launch. It's an opportunity for us to slow down and focus on the basics of flight rather than actually getting in the air. It's also an opportunity for us to practice some recovery techniques and some more advanced techniques. So I can, by pulling the A-lines, induce a collapse. I'll pull the A-line, I'll collapse the glider, and I'll apply brake on the opposite side and let the glider open on its own. Another thing we can practice is depowering the wing in high wind conditions. There's a few ways we can do that. Number one is we can just apply brakes until it stalls and comes to the ground. And then we walk towards the glider to create slack on the lines and depower it. Now, if you have a buddy out in the field, they can go ahead and grab some fabric. As soon as somebody grabs some fabric on the glider, they can quickly depower it. I have no hands on the glider right now, and I'll use only weight shift and moving to the low side to correct the glider. See, I'm moving to the low side. I can grab my brakes. Now, something that was taught to me by the great Jeff Goen, we're in reverse kiting mode. We are trying to leave the ground, kind of do some kite hops. Something that's very advantageous is to hold the brake lines above their pulleys. Now we're going to be kiting in a non-reverse configuration. The right brake is now controlling the right side of the glider, and likewise the left brake is controlling the left side of the glider. But by holding above the brake pulleys, it prevents us from untwisting under the glider. Oftentimes you get picked up and you get twisted, and it's kind of scary because you lose control. But when we're like this, I can go flying and remain twisted. So I can practice my kite hops and my recovery. So another high wind technique we can do is use the C's or the B's to depower. So these are the C's right here, backmost riser. And if I pull down on them, you can see I bring the glider down. And then I walk towards it, same way, to depower it. Another really useful thing with the C's, when we control the glider with them, create significantly less lift, but still allow us to control the glider. So if we're in conditions that are lifting us up occasionally, we can use these C's to control the glider, but they don't actually create any lift when we pull them, and they allow us to kite in a little bit stronger condition. Another thing that's useful is if it's getting real bad, you can get the glider down, let it shoot in front of you, and front tuck and get light, and then pull a bunch of brakes all at once. So I'll demonstrate that, and this is a way to get the glider down. So I have my brakes here, kind of strong. I'm gonna let the glider shoot past me, it gets light, and then I pull all the brakes, and it comes right down. So stay tuned for a whole lot more instructional kiting videos here from Aviator. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of kiting philosophy in high wind, and hope you can apply it in your piloting career and use it to benefit yourself and grow in the sport. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.